Anna's here and welcome to our weekly money date. I want to chat with you today about what do you do when you work for yourself, you have side hustles on the side, and you want to figure out how do you actually get those benefit packages that you might have once had before when you worked for a big company, or maybe you never worked for a big company but always wondered how do you put a decent benefit package for yourself, and what are some of the sort of top things to think about. Hi Josephine, good to have you here. Now, before I sort of get into the topic of today's conversation, I want to remind you what money dates stand for. Money dates are time we set aside for ourselves to figure out how things are with our finances. Now, it's like going on a date, but you actually are going on a date with your money. And if it was important to you, or enough important that you would allow time for this on a weekly basis. Now, I want to do this weekly because things come up and we want to make sure that you've caught mistakes, you allow time for making changes and corrections. Now, I track three things for myself. I track how much expenses we've had for the week. I track how our income is doing, because both you and I are on variable income. And number three, I track what our financial goals and how are we stacking for the rest of the month and then of the year. Okay, so those are the three things that kind of come into play when I'm looking at my finances on the weekly basis. But because it's not just about income and expenses, it's a lot more that all of us want to accomplish, and I wanted to focus my time and energy on figuring out how to make money and service my clients. So I had to set this baseline for where I was comfortable with knowing where things are. You all have a phone, a smartphone, hopefully. You can pick a different app that works for you to track those things. So that's just my reminder for you. Let's talk about, we live in the world today where earning income elsewhere, aside from what you are, if you have a 9-to-5 job, maybe it's a small company and they don't offer you a ton of benefits, maybe something you can do instead for yourself. I am too a small business owner, and I know how hard it is to set up a benefit package because the benefits that I'm talking about cost money. And so what do you do, and what are some important elements for you to have, whether you are self-employed, whether you have a small business, or you're just trying to figure out going into being an entrepreneur. Hi Anne-Marie, good to have you here. Being an entrepreneur is something you actually want to perceive, because number one reason, and I see this day in and day out with clients, is the question that people ask about, well, if I quit my 9-to-5 job, not only I'm losing the income or more of the stability of the paycheck coming in, but I'm also going to lose these wonderful benefits. And so yes, there is a trade-off for that. But whatever you decide to do, here's what you should consider for putting 5 kind of basic elements in designing your own benefits package. Now, why am I talking about this today? Because we're about to hit in something called an open enrollment season. Usually, an open enrollment season is the time of the year where you can start making adjustments and changes to your benefits. It has to do with health insurance. It has to do if you have Medicare. So if you in the space, hi Cynthia, good to have you here. In the space of being retired or getting closer to that. And it is also end of the year. So I want you to think about, what are you going to do for next year? Okay. Now, I am thrilled, excited. So I wanted to share this with you. I got yesterday in the mail my renewal letters for my health insurance for next year. Hi Yuri, good to have you here. And can you believe this? But I was so sure that I was opening up the packages, and Yuri and I have separate policies, and this is for our health insurance, that I was like, oh my gosh, what do I expect? For the last 3 years or 4 years now, we've gotten on average about 17 to 20% increase on our premiums. And yesterday, when I opened up the letters, my policy is going out by 2%, and yours is like 5 or something. Just nothing significant. So I have not been as excited about looking into this for myself over the last 4 years, just because it was kind of annoying that every year we get such a huge premium increases. So the first thing when you're thinking about putting together for yourself, and remember, it's really actually kind of illegal for you not to have a health insurance plan. So you will be penalized for not having a health insurance plan, whether you want it or not. So if you don't have a plan for more than two months in any calendar year, look out for penalties. And you know how they do it these days? Through tax return. So everybody's going to have to file tax return. You're going to have to provide documentation whether you had a health insurance plan, right, for entire 12 months. If you can't show that, then that's what it is. Now, health insurance is something that you need to assess whether and how it's working for your family. I always look at it from the perspective of, if there is a catastrophic event, and I'm a pretty healthy individual, so I really only need basic care, right? I need to make sure I can go to the doctors once a year to get my physical, and if there was a catastrophic event, or if there was a great event and you had a baby, right? Or if there was, things that you were anticipating, what kind of coverage can you get? So I want you to look, and there's a ton of options where you can start looking into getting these ideas. Health exchanges. There are statewide health exchanges, so wherever state you have, look up and see if there is, I can't recall all of them, but look up and see if there's a state exchange where you can go on and price out these plans. Now, there's also a nationwide health exchange where you can get quotes. If none of that works for you, or the plans that you're finding aren't really what you need, you can reach out to your local health insurance broker. Those folks are tremendously helpful, and that's what really helped myself and actually my teammates, because we all have to buy our own insurance through our own sources. And so look out for that. But it's almost like you can't get away without having a proper health insurance. And so now these days we have these various levels of coverage, right? So if you're thinking about catastrophic plan, look at, like, maybe you can have a bronze plan, or maybe if you need more features and benefits, look at getting a silver or a gold plan, because you're looking for that, for that extra layer of service. But that's one area where, if it does get crazy and there's no coverage, you don't want to miss it. Like, you really don't want to find yourself having, hi Chloe, good to have you here. Find yourself paying for those crazy medical bills. And that's the basic thing. So look, and yes, my friends, get ready to pay for it. But remember, because you chose the route of being self-employed or being an entrepreneur or running your own business, there are other benefits that come with it. You have to pay for these things, but you do have an opportunity to reduce your income by writing off some of the costs or all of the costs. And this is something you should discuss with your tax professional, right? Your CPA or your tax preparer, or your financial planner for that matter. Of how that's going to benefit, your bottom line. But first, I don't want you to think about deductions. I want you to think about coverage for your family, yourself, and your loved ones. All right, number 2 on my list. Something that has worked well for a lot of my clients. I stopped doing it because, again, I figured that I really need to have just the baseline coverage where I am today or this year. So I'll be evaluating this again going for 2020. But number 2 is health savings account. When you go and you pick, and if you use my example of those tiered plans, right? And I'm not talking about any particular insurance company, because it all will depend where you live. But if you're looking at, and you're buying these maybe on exchanges, and you're looking at, or even directly at the bronze, silver, or gold level, I think they're platinum as well, but I've never even considered that. Can you mitigate your cost with having a higher deductible, lower monthly premium, and add a health savings account on the top of that. The reason I like, hi Jennifer, good to have you here. The reason I like a health savings account is because it allows you to save pre-tax dollars for any medical related expenses. So if your deductible, let's say, is $5,000, and by the way, you have to have a high deductible health insurance plan. And I don't remember now, but the high deductible is, I think, at least $1,700. I'm not going to quote numbers because I'm going to get them wrong. Google high health deductible plan, and you'll see what the numbers are. And they're changing usually every year for next year is going to be something higher. But you have to have a plan that has at least that deductible, and then you can put aside a health savings plan, equivalent of that, or if you choose to do more, depending if it's an individual plan or a family plan. Now, the reason I love health savings accounts is because if you don't use the money, let's say you have a high deductible health plan, you never go to the doctors, you never tap into using your deductible, right? You can carry forward the balance that is inside your health savings account. So the money goes in there after tax. It grows tax-free. I'm sorry, misspoke. It goes there pre-tax. It grows tax-free when it's used for medical expenses. So this is like an additional benefit you get to take out of having to pay for your own health insurance. So I want you to really think about it. And today, Marketplace is robust enough that investment account, and I think you notice, I think of it as an investment account, health savings account can be invested. So it's not just sitting like in a money market or a CD or just a plain savings account. It can be invested. Hi Alexi, good to have you here. And it can grow forward with you. So think of it maybe potentially as a long-term strategy, but at the very minimal, you can use it to help you reduce your taxable income, right? Because again, having to be in a space of where you are responsible for all of the benefits you create, this is one of those options. Okay, number 3, I gotta make sure I stay within my time. Thanks you guys for hopping on. If you have any other ideas as to what our entrepreneur and self-employed friends, or those who choose to employ themselves in the gig economy, let me know. Maybe perhaps I haven't thought about something. So number 3 is life insurance, okay? Now, something that I tell all my clients is that you buy life insurance for somebody else. It is not for you, my friends, because when it comes to fruition, you aren't going to be here. But what you want to think about, and life insurance is a really big topic, and I'm only going to scratch the surface today, but I want you to think about very simple, very inexpensive type of coverage, and that's term. So think about what are your obligations to your family, right, to your loved ones, and what would you want to protect and provide to them in case something were to happen to you, right? In case of, for example, if you have a business, you need to think about continuity of your business and what policies, right? So see, if I start talking about this, it's going to get more complex, but what policies do you need to put in place, or protection? Maybe it's more than one policy, and maybe permanent insurance is the solution. But at the very minimal, I want you to think about basic obligations like provide a place for your family to live, roof over their head, food on their table, and some of these basic things. Maybe you have kids and you're thinking about their well-being, maybe sending them to college. So what does all of that entail? How much do you really need? Term insurance is very inexpensive. The younger you are, the better it is, because you are locking in the premiums for the duration, right? And you're getting those estimates or quotes, or you're starting these policies when you're younger, again, repeating myself, and it's costing you much less. So that's number 3 on my list. Number 4, actually, kind of one of my favorite topics to talk about is disability. And we never think about this, especially, it's actually funny. I'll tell you a story, a quick one. I have a client who works for Facebook, and I think it's relevant here because I am on Facebook sharing this information with you, but Facebook has an amazing, by far the best and the most robust benefit package that I've seen. And you would think that if you work for a company like Facebook, or I'm not going to pick a name in particular, but this is just a real life situation, that you would actually utilize all of the benefits, or as many benefits as you can. Hi, Greg. Because, let's face it, it's part of your compensation. But it doesn't actually happen like that. So one of my clients, and this happened to be last week, came for annual review, and she switched jobs. And guess what? She hasn't, I'm not talking about anything crazy, because they have benefits like bringing your laundry to work, right? They can do your laundry. So, but I'm talking about simple things like making sure you have health insurance, life insurance, and disability. She forgot to sign up for disability plan. So yeah, my reminder for you today is to figure out how can you get disability coverage for the type of work you're doing. Now, it's going to be more difficult because you're going to have to show that you have consistent income. You're going to have to find resources where, for example, associations, like do you belong to, let's say, a financial planning association or a bar, for attorneys, or, there's all kinds of associations that exist for different types of businesses that pull together these resources because they realize that when people work on their own, right, or when they have small businesses, it is much harder for them to pull these benefits together. But what I want you to understand with disability insurance, I'm thinking long term. So if you can't work for a couple of months, hopefully, and we've been talking about this for years now on this show particularly, you have a proper emergency reserves in place. So it should carry you through for the short term. But if you can't work long term, who is going to do that work for you? Is it going to be your employees? Can you continue paying your employees, right? This is sort of almost like a next level of complexity when somebody gets sick and can't work. But what about you? What about your own family? Can you provide or replace that income that was coming in? Now, something to point out, you're never going to get 100% of income replaced, but you can almost get up to 70% replaced, right? Depending on what policy you pick and whether you get pre-tax benefits or you pay, premiums with after-tax dollars, so new benefits come out tax-free. So today I'm just mentioning kind of these, these options from higher level, and want you to start being conscious of them and start looking for these opportunities. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to cover some of these in more details, okay? Because I think it's really important, and it's also so neat that these opportunities exist today. So don't have to work for Facebook or any other of those cool companies to create your own robust benefit package. Now, I know that you didn't start your own gig or aren't working for yourself because you had an awesome benefit package, but guess what? You have opportunities just like everybody else. All right, and then number 5 on my list is make sure that you set up some kind of retirement plan. Now, number 1 reason for that, I think is pretty apparent. You've got to think about the future and opportunities for you to save for your own Independence Day, Retirement Day, Financial Freedom Day, whatever you call it, the day when you don't have to work. Now, reason number 2, and I think it'll be more appealing to you because, again, if you're looking for ways to reduce taxable income, that's one of the avenues that you want to shoot for. Now, there are tons of different options in terms of what kind of plans, but you want to look into what's called qualified retirement plan. You can set up a solo 401k. You can set up a SEP IRA, Simplified Employee Pension Plan. You can set up a simple IRA. Just depends on how your business is structured. So I'm kind of getting into more of the tax advice here, but that's when you want to consult with your tax professional. It also depends on how much income and profits you're planning to have this year. So as we getting closer to the end of the year and we have October, November, and December to work on all of these things, I want you to think about, right? Maybe you've been just running around hustling, trying to make money all this year, but really haven't focused on anything else. Start thinking beyond just making sure that you have money in the bank account. Start thinking, how can you put these protection practices in place? That's what they are, right? Because let's face it, there's always going to be a situation, right, with someone out there who should have taken these steps, but they haven't. And it's really rather simple to do, right? It's not easy, but because you can reach out for help, and there's a ton of help out there. So think about, how can you protect yourself? Let me know if you have any questions, and if you have any suggestions, or you need referrals for any of these types of providers. Happy to do that. Just a reminder, I don't personally sell any of these products. All I do is really advising and recommendations, and looking into making sure that these things works. I am too going to be going through a process of looking at not only what my personal coverage for our family is like, but also what are we going to do for our company here at Main Street, and actually talking alongside with a handful of clients who are taking advantage of this open enrollment. But remember, as far as health insurance goes, we have until, it starts October 15th and it goes until January 15th. But you probably want to make your decision by the 15th of December for health insurance, so that your coverage starts on January 1. But you can take as much time as January until January 15th, but then the coverage is going to start on February 1st. So give it a thought of what I discussed. Let me know where you stand, and happy to connect you, and happy to answer questions. All right. But don't forget, the reason you're here is not just to talk about, or hear me talk about benefits for your own business or your self-employed gig. It's also to remind you that you got to pay attention to where your money is at. So if you can do anything today, at least take a look and see where you stand. All right. Good to have you guys here. Happy hump day. I will see you next week. Bye for now.